for us, it's always the question, what is actually reliably driving the market? And the very simple answer is, it's the rate of change in economic activity, it's growth momentum. There's been a lot of talk about monetary policy and also retail inflows, but the very crystal clear rule over the last 2 decades is when growth momentum accelerates, then markets rise. So the question that you just posed, are we at the top in the market, effectively translates into, has growth momentum, the rebound in growth momentum, has that already come to an end? And we think the answer is no. The critical index to focus on is the PMI. That has only risen to 51. Given the powerful rebound we're seeing in the industrial production space at the moment, that's consistent with a PMI closer to 60. If the PMI continues rising over the next 2 to 3 months, that means more upside for European equities.
Sebastian, can I ask you about some key risks, though? Brexit, we've clearly seen that come back to the fore again this week. The second wave fears that France is dealing with a spike in coronavirus cases, and also the US markets. It's hard to see Europe performing if US markets do not. So can you touch on how those three will impact the markets for the next couple of months here?
Yeah, this is a very good question. Of the ones that you've mentioned, I think the biggest risk is the resurgence in the virus cases that we've seen in Europe. However, the very instructive insight is that we've seen a number of second wave phenomena so far globally in the US, Australia, Japan, Hong Kong. They have never lasted for more than 2 months, because in the last couple of months we have learned how to deal with the disease. It is when you become a little bit less cautious that it starts to rise again. But if you have curbs on indoor gatherings, if you have a sharper focus on mask requirements, that is typically sufficient to bring these second wave outbreaks to an end. Look what happened in the US, where the daily cases have already dropped by 40% since the July peak, without a lockdown, but simply on the back of these softer restriction measures. In Europe, the cases have already been rising for 2 months. Restrictions have been tightened. So we expect this, which I would regard as the key risk, to start subsiding the rise in the virus figures. And then you very likely would see what you've seen in the US. In the US, the PMI dropped for 1 month when the virus numbers were rising, but then rebounded powerfully as you brought the second wave under control.